Call this meeting of the facility committees to order. Mr. Busey, can you call the roll, please?
Loxton?
Here.
Rodriguez?
Here. I think this is the right button.
Taylor?
Okay.
Here.
Woken?
Here.
Goss?
Here.
Harper? Humphrey?
Here.
Chair Summers?
Present. Okay. Approval of the agenda and addenda. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved, Goss.
Second, Taylor.
All right. Motion and a second. And since we are here, do we need a roll call with that we're on Zoom? I don't think so. Aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
So moved, Taylor.
Second. Harper, second. Again, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Time for public participation. Do we have anybody online that wants to address this body? Nope. All right. We will move on then to new business. Discussion and approval of contract award for hail-damaged HVAC equipment. Dana, do you want to lead on this?
Okay. So this is, oh, a little loud, sorry. This is for ITB 2021-004. It's the hail damage HVAC equipment. The work associated with this project is at the Courthouse, Juvenile Detention Facility, and Brookens. Insurance reimbursement due to the hail damage is going to cover most of the expense. We have added an additional component to this so that we don't ever have this again. We are putting hail guards on all HVAC equipment, so this cannot happen to us in the future. Bids were opened on June 4th. At 1 o'clock, we had 3 vendors submit bids, United Mechanical, Helm Service, and A&R Mechanical. Helm Service was the low bidder at $453,372. We've got our engineer partners here from GHR, Jim Gleason and Richard Van Note, who's on Zoom. And they can kind of take us through, again, the project as well as the bid.
There we go. Is it working? Do I feel like I have a mask on? So the project was relatively straightforward once we actually figured out all the things that were damaged. It involved replacing rooftop units that were damaged and not repairable. It involved replacing the condenser coils on several rooftop units that were repairable, and a chiller or two that needed condenser coils as well. The contractor did a good job of winnowing through the scope of the work. I talked to them, made sure they had everything in their bid, and were comfortable recommending that the low bidder take that job or be awarded that job. I can say more, but
Any questions of either myself or Jim or Richard?
Well, if no one has any questions, we have a low bid. Can I have a motion to approve the award of the contract?
So moved, Humphrey.
And a second?
Taylor.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, move on to new business item B.
Okay, this is ITB 2021-002. That's the Courthouse asphalt shingle replacement project. This is again part of the hail damage. And of note, it's, really two large buildings. You've got the old original courthouse as well as the new addition. It's at a significant height, so the number of vendors that can actually perform the work is very few. We opened bids on Friday at 2 o'clock, Friday the 4th. We received two bids, one from Knickerbocker and the other one from Henson Robinson. Knickerbocker was the low at $337,400. We have Carlos Molly and Todd Higginbottom on Zoom, who are partners and architects on this project. Can talk about the project and as well as the bid.
Sorry, bud, we can't hear you.
Is there a volume issue with the Zoom, perhaps? Is there a way to turn that up?
Hold on, guys, we're out of practice here.
Todd, Scarlett, hang on. This is Dana. We're checking with our IT folks.
Can you hear us yet?
Yeah, finally.
Yes, now we
All
can.
right.
Oh, good.
Oh, great. Can you hear,
Great.
can you hear me too? All right.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, Dana, thank you again. And as you mentioned it, we did receive two bids. And prior to the issuance of the documents, we reached out to a number of qualified contractors that we felt that could perform the work on this project. And as Dana mentioned, it's a large, challenging project, and we think that the number of bidders could be attributed to the fact that there just aren't that many who could comfortably, perform that work. Secondly, we think that perhaps that some firms maybe have already been had projects for the summer, and that might have had some play in it as well. As Dana mentioned, we received two bids. Knickerbocker's bid of $337,000 was within our estimate that we had given Dana prior to issuance of bid documents, as well as it was in line with the bid or the price that the insurance company had estimated for the cost of repairs. Because of the disparity of the bids that we received, we reached out to Knickerbocker to talk through with them the scope of work, making sure that they had captured all the major work items, not just the shingles and the height, but making sure they also had the overhead protection for the general public and the staff at the courthouse. We talked through all that. They confirmed that they understood the scope. They shared a letter certifying their bid, which we shared with the county. In addition to that, we also reached out to their peers and did a background check, if you will. They are a large company. They're located near Harvey, Illinois, but have a good reputation, and firms that we have worked with that we trust their judgment vouched for their integrity and their ability to perform the complexities of this project. So in addition, uh, taking all those things into account, we recommended that the county accept Knickerbocker's bid.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Ms. Lokshin?
Sorry, I just was wondering if there was any concern that it was only Henson Robinson that did a walkthrough ahead of time.
We did wonder about that, and we feel that although Henson Robinson is a quality firm and we've worked with them a lot, we don't think that shingle roofs are their forte necessarily, and we think that the price reflects more of not what they saw, but I think it represents maybe their workload and maybe their comfort level of the project. So we looked into that, and that's our conclusion.
All right, thank you.
I would also add that a lot of these companies, can look at Google Earth, so they can determine the size. They were very aware, listening to Bailey Edwards' discussion with them. They're very aware of the height requirements and the safety requirements for this project. So even though they did not walk it, they've got a very excellent idea of what the job entails.
I will say I did some independent investigation too with some of the local tradespeople, and they have worked with Knickerbocker in the past and gave a positive review of them as a contractor to have do the work. So I think it concurs with what your feedback was as well.
Great.
Well, if there are no further questions, I'll accept a motion to approve this contract award. May I have a motion, please?
So moved, Goss.
Thank you. And a second?
Rodriguez.
Thank you. All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item C.
Okay. Next one up, ITB 2021-003. This is a satellite jail HVAC replacement project. This project is actually being funded in two manners. One, this has been on our capital asset fund for project list for this year for some time, but we also have a component coming from insurance. There was HVAC damage on the roof, so we're really combining those two pieces together to do this project. We opened up bids on Friday, the 4th again. We had 5 bidders. We had 1 control vendor. Excuse me. Note that the control vendor, which is Alpha Controls, was specified for all the vendors participating, but we did ask them to submit a bid for controls as well. The bidders included United Mechanical, Reliable Plumbing, Helm Service, Davis Houck, and HR Mechanical. Davis Houck was the low bidder at $1,439,000 some change. We again have GHR, Jim Gleason, and Richard Van Note here to participate and talk about the project and the bid.
Okay, so this project, unlike the hail damage project, came in over the estimates by about 17%. So we were a little bit concerned about that. The bids were nice and close together. So what we were able to determine after some lengthy conversation with the apparent low is we were probably a little bit optimistic about how easy it was to get work done in that building. And it's not easy to get done. And we kind of got tangled up in some of these rising material costs. this was particularly noticeable with anything that has steel in it, which would be the penthouse that we have to build to enclose some of this equipment, and of course, all the piping that goes into this. Copper is yet another thing that was mentioned as rapidly rising in price. So while we weren't particularly happy with the difference between our estimate and the actual cost, or bid, I should say, we were able to untangle this and think that they've got a responsible bid. They've captured the work properly. They fit in with their peers in terms of the bid spreads, in terms of high, lows, and where everybody else was at. So we're comfortable recommending that they do the work. This is Davis House Mechanics. Now, there's yet another component of this, and that's the Act on Energy incentives, which the incentives have been filed for, pre-approved, so we're on track to proceed with that piece of the project as well.
That Ameren Energy grant's in the neighborhood of $120,000 for this project. So, you know, we're doing an awful lot to improve the efficiency of the satellite jail with the new equipment and how it's being put together on the roof versus what we're living with today.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Gleason? Actually, at 17%, I'd say we got away with not too bad a situation considering commodity prices and the way they've been looking.
Yes.
Yeah, my son works for a piping company, and prices have skyrocketed across industry, anything that uses steel, anything. Okay, if there are no further questions, can I have a motion to approve the wording of the contract?
So moved, Harper.
Seconded, Humphrey.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jim. With the Army Corps of Engineers for land.
Okay, not a bid, this is a lease. This is a lease for the Army Corps of, for the Army Reserves. The Army Corps Engineers negotiates the lease on behalf of the United States of America. This lease actually expired in March 31st of 2020. We discussed with the Army Corps Engineers at that time, they're going through transition. We would wait a year to update the lease and do it retroactively just because the election had just occurred. There's a changeover. So it'd be problematic to try and get it done in 2020 for them. So we just kind of rolled it. We've increased basically the rental amount on an annual basis by CPI, which is 2.1%. So we're up from 42,000 and some change to about 44,600 per year. This is for a lease of 5.9 acres. They've done all the improvements, built the buildings that exist there. You know, if they ever decide to leave, obviously they revert to the county. But you know, it's a good lease. It's a little bit different lease than most of the leases we have for like Brookens and Elias, just because the USA is so onerous with their contract language. But it really hasn't changed from the previous 5-year lease to this year, other than the amount. So I would ask for you to approve that and move it forward.
Any discussion? Any questions of Dana? If not, can I have a motion to approve the lease agreement?
So moved, Lockton.
Motion second, please. Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. To item E, discussion and approval of the Salt Dome and Salt Brine Shingles and Brookens Pod 300.
Okay. So this is a new one, just coming off this again, part of our hail damage, reverting back to July 11th, 2020. This is for the county highway salt dome and brine shed, as well as for the 2 roofs here at Brookens, pod 300 and pod 400. All received damage. The salt dome and brine shed are asphalt shingle, and we're EPDM rubber here on our 2 roofs. Again, we've got Carlos Molly, Todd Higginbottom from GHR, from Bailey Edwards, here to discuss the project. Included in your packet was a 95% review of the bid document. We know we've got a few things to tweak on it. Bailey Edwards was out with a roofer yesterday and took some core samples, both of pod 300 and 400, so we have a little bit better information on the existing roof and what we need to do here for pod 300 as well as 400. So with that, Carla, Todd.
Thanks, Dana. And as Dana mentioned, we had a roofer take some core samples for us to help us get a good understanding of what the existing conditions are, amount of insulation, and whether or not there's more than one roof surface, because these things have cost ramifications. So we got that information, and we found out that on pod 300 that the existing EPDM roof system was placed over the original built-up roof system. Typically, we like to remove all the way to the deck to ensure that there's no moisture captured when we put the new roof back. But given the fact that there have been not a lot of leak issues other than some standing water, and also considering the cost of wood right now, delivery schedules, and all of that associated with that, we recommend that we remove down to the existing built-up roof system in a similar manner. With the exception being that we will replace and we will include a 1/2-inch hardboard to help mitigate future damage and any future hailstorms that may happen. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell for Brookens. The salt dome and brine shed, as Dana mentioned, asphalt shingles removed down to the existing deck, new shingles, underlayment, and in the case of the salt dome, there's been some instances of sections of shingles coming off. So we're going to address looking and have some unit prices to see if perhaps we may discover some sheathing that may have been compromised and isn't holding those shingles in place. And so, as Dana mentioned, we're adjusting our drawings accordingly to reflect a little bit of the change of our approach to Brookens, but intend to have that bid package ready. We're shooting for the end of the week, and I believe that we're having bids are going to be received. And I'm sorry, I failed to have this in front of me, but I believe it.
July the 8th,
Yes, thank you.
but
Yes, 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions about either project?
Make note real quick that the bids will be received on July, or opened up on July 8th. Facility committee does not meet in July, so we'll take the bid information, bid tab summary, as well as recommendation from Bailey Edwards to the full board. I think it's the 22nd or 24th, something along those lines. So just FYI.
So in July then? Okay, all right.
And I misspoke. It's July the 9th is that Friday. Sorry.
Well, thank you very much. Barring any further questions, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Is that Mr. Goss I heard back there?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approve, or excuse me. Any opposition? Hearing none, this is approved.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank
Thank
you very
you.
much, everyone.
Okay. Let's move on to item F, discussion of Shields Carter Conference Room plaque dedication. Dana, did you want to bring up your
Steve,
thoughts? We
yeah.
spoke earlier about.
I put this on the agenda with Steve's permission, kind of looking for guidance, if you will, from you folks. As you can see, we have a photo of Lyle Shields with the proclamation from the board naming it the Lyle Shields Room. I'm looking for input from you guys on what your expectations are, what you would like to see for the inclusion, certainly of Mr. Carter and Mr. Shields together. So your thoughts? I kind of throw it out to you guys.
I mean, I think it would just, the appropriate thing would just be to have a very similar setup for Mr. Carter. That way we can, I mean, we can see it right there. So I'm okay with just saying, let's get the photo, let's get, I can't obviously read the plaque from here, but the resolution plaque as well, and then obviously the door would need to be changed too.
Well, I told Dana, I thought as long as we can replace and put a similar photo and resolution up when they can have time to replace the different signage, that's good. I'm not too concerned about the timeline on that as long as it will get accomplished. So.
I'll let you know, just, it says Lyle Shields and the date of his county board tenure on that little gold bit underneath the photo, and then that's just the proclamation like the one we signed for changing the name.
They're both two long-serving county board members, and I'm glad that we can honor both of their service. Is that enough guidance for you at this point, Dana, or do you want further?
Yeah, that's fine if someone could help obtain
I will do
a
that.
similar photo.
I will work with the family and make sure I can get a photo.
Okay.
All right. Is there any other business anyone on the committee has?
I've got a couple of things, actually one thing. I want to introduce Chris Smith, who's sitting to my right, be to your left. Chris is our building and grounds manager. He's been with us a little over 8 years now. Been in this position for 3, approximately, and doing a terrific job. He's kind of the day-to-day with our maintenance crew, and he's terrific. He's got an update. I thought it'd be good to have you hear what some of the things that's going on, but this is a positive one for Chris to talk about.
Hello. Through communications with OEO Energy Solutions out of Lake Zurich, Illinois, and Ameren, we've received free of charge 5,000 T8 LED ballast bypass light bulbs, which will eliminate the cost to replace ballast, the man hours to change said ballast, and the constant recycling costs that we're paying to recycle the old fluorescent bulbs. The fluorescent bulbs that we currently have in place, well, not all of them, but what are left in place were 32-watt fluorescents, and we're changing those to the 14-watt LEDs. This will reduce costs to run each single bulb for the year at 10 hours a day by $2.38 per bulb. Due to the brightness and color, we've reduced the number of bulbs used overall. So a lot of the 4-bulb fluorescent fixtures that we're changing out, we're only putting 2 LEDs. So we're saving even more there. We also received 76 high bay LED fixtures for the highway department, Champaign County Highway Department. They're currently using 400-watt metal halide bulbs in their fixtures. They use those in their indoor parking area and the mechanics bay. These fixtures run at approximately $42.40 a year per fixture at 8 hours a day. We're going to reduce that to $16.32 per fixture per year at 8 hours a day. So the cost of physical plant is going to be just the man hours to get these put in, and that's already in progress. So we're pretty stoked about that. So thank you.
That is wonderful news, and the no-cost part I really like a lot, too. Other than your manpower, yeah, but that's fantastic. Thank you. I have no presiding officer's report. Next meeting will be Tuesday, August 3rd. Designation of items to be placed on consent agenda for this month, items 6A, B, C, and D. If no one has any further business.
Steve, I got
Yes.
one thing I want to say, and
Go ahead.
listening to Chris talk about, and Dana talk about his years. A gentleman that worked for the county maintenance for 28 years, mostly in the courthouse and jail, passed away a week ago Friday, Kevin Seaman. I just thought he'd be recognized since he did work for the county for all those years. And he went out the way he wanted to. He was on the golf course in Charleston and died, 63 years old. But I just thought I'd mention that.
Well, if it's all right with folks on the committee, let's observe a moment of silence for this county employee that we have lost. Thank you, Stan. Meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, guys. It's nice to be back.